This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to Finish Lines and Milestones, a podcast for everyday runners. I'm your host, Allie Bretnacher, and if you run, you're a runner, and every runner has a story. Join me each week as I share these stories and we celebrate finish lines and milestones together. This week's episode is brought to you by Noogs. Noogs is perhaps the best tasting fuel I've ever tried. They are sour energy chews that taste just like your favorite sour candy, and they have all the electrolytes, carbs, all the fuel you need on the run. So they have flavors like Blue Raspberry Blast, Electric Watermelon, Wicked Apple, Lemon Zinger, and new caffeinated flavors like Poolside Pop, like those 4th of July popsicles, and Strawberry Lemonade. So if you are interested in trying some new fuel, look no further. You've got to try Noogs. You can buy them on Amazon, or if you want to use my discount, you can go to Noogon, Noogon.com, and you can use code AllieB15 for 15% off of your order. This is also a woman-owned and veteran-owned business. It's a husband and wife team, and don't just take my word for it. I had a friend on Instagram reach out and say, okay, I bought some Noogs. Holy bleep, they are so bleeping good. So there you go. Not just me that loves them. So go try Noogs. And now for this week's episode, my guest is the husband of a previous guest, Trena Roudebush's husband, the Bob Roudebush. This was a long time in the making, and I finally got to sit down with Bob and hear all about his story. If you look at Bob from the outside in, you'll see an ultra runner who has done multiple 100-milers, and you just think, man, this guy, he's run his whole life. He's so good at this. But what I find really interesting about Bob is that he didn't always run. In fact, during his professional career, he got really, really out of shape, was a smoker, and he found his way to running and now does 100-milers. So the progression of that is really inspiring. And you'll also find that Bob has some stories, like the time he hit a deer on the way to a race, still made it to the race, spoiler alert. And also he has run a half marathon with David Goggins. Yes, the David Goggins. So great stories. Bob's awesome. I hope you enjoy this episode with Bob Roudebush. Okay,
right.
We're officially here, Bob.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's 2.5 years in the making.
Yes, finally. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you. I was trying to think, I don't know that I've had any other couples, like where I've interviewed both the husband and the wife. So the Roudebushes are the first.
We could come back for another where it's all
Both
three
of
of
you?
us.
That would be way too much fun. That would be amazing. Sign me up for that.
So,
Yeah. So your wife, Trena, was episode 31, just so people know.
Okay.
So if they want to get to know Trena, who I'm sure we will talk about, they can
that
go
was
listen
first
to
on the
hers.
agenda that I saw. That you
Yes, it was. I
provided
was
me.
like, we got to talk about Trena just right
I
off
asked,
the bat.
Trena was the one pushing for this, and so I joked with her. I said, was this just your long play way of like being in 2 podcasts with Allie? And
She's so smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now 3
yeah,
for when we do it all together.
in 2.5 years.
Yeah, in another 2.5 years. Oh my gosh. So I can't remember. Did we officially meet at Prairie on Fire? You probably don't remember.
Probably.
But I think when you were in your tent, I went over and shook your hand. And that, I mean, you ran how many miles this year?
33 yards. So that's
Okay.
137 miles, I think.
Okay. So for people who don't know what we're talking about,
Okay.
Prairie on Fire, will you explain
I will-
what that is?
The backyard ultra
Yes.
format. I'll do my best.
Okay. I mean, come on, 33 yards. I think you know what you're doing now.
So Gary Cantrell of ultra fame from Bell Buckle, Tennessee, I think is where he hails from. Lazarus Lake is his pseudonym.
Okay.
He is the guy that invented the Barkley Marathon.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. He's also invented a bunch of other different torturous ultra marathon endurance event formats, but one of those was the Barkley Marathons, and one of the others was this idea of a backyard ultra. And I think what he was trying to go for was, like, how can people really determine capacity and, like, what they can achieve in a format that, like, has no end, right? So
Yeah.
when you're running, a 5K or 10K or, half marathon or marathon, you're like, okay, I'll be done at 26 miles, 26.2 miles. But when you're running a backyard ultra, you could be done in 20 hours, in 30 hours, or the record, I should have looked it up before I came in, is I think high 80s or low 90s, somewhere around there.
I want to say it's around, is it under 500 miles? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But not by a lot.
Right. And so the whole idea is, right, that at the top of every hour, you start in the corral and you have 1 hour to run 4.167 miles. And you can't take any aid from anywhere, or anyone or anywhere on the course. And you can only use what you carry with you. And you have an hour to complete that loop or that yard. And the strategy comes in where, how fast you run or how slow you run that yard determines how much time you have. Interloopal is what they call it. Or in between the yards to get food or rest or change gear or whatever, right? But that the race continues at the top of every hour running another yard until there is only one person left. So everybody lines up in the corral at the beginning, right before the beginning of the next hour. They run the same 4.167 mile yard or 4.167 mile loop. And at some point it gets down to, 2 or 3 people. And the person that either does not complete the last yard or refuses to go out, then provided the other person finishes that yard, they become the winner. Everyone else DNFs officially, did not finish. And the second place person, they call the assist, right?
Yeah. What's so interesting about the format is it requires 2 people to really go. Like if you have a goal of doing it, you have to have somebody else that's there with you.
That's what's, I think, the genius of it, right? And so, Lazarus Lake was like trying to come up with how can I create a format that really pushes the capabilities of people and really allows them to find what they can do and what they're capable of. Yeah. And what's cool about it is that you can only push yourself as far as someone else is willing to go with you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's both competition and cooperation, right? It's
so
a team sport and an individual sport. And so for me, really, that was what sort of piqued my curiosity, was like, wow, what an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And I wonder how far I could go, right, under those circumstances.
So how many years have you done Prairie on Fire?
That's not true. So I did 2025 and 2024, but 2024 I used it mainly as a training run.
Okay. For like 100-miler that you were doing?
Yeah, I think it might have been No Business I was running that year in the fall, and so it just worked out that it was a great sort of long run weekend. I think I did 40 miles or 44 miles.
Wow.
I can't remember which.
Yeah, still incredible. I loved being able, last year, 2025, was the first year I went and actually saw the race. I wanted to go spectate. I brought my girls. We did some chalk art, which was so fun. But I had never really, seen the format. And it was so cool, like tent city, where everyone has everything set up. It's just a huge ordeal.
It's like a party.
Yeah, and that.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm sure you've talked to TJ, but even the difference between 2024 and 2025 was huge. Just to line up last year and see, I can't remember exactly how many people he had, but I think there were 150 or 100.
It was a lot.
There were a lot of people in that starting corral. Yeah. Right. And as such, there was this whole city of tents that had sort of, crept up that day or overnight. It was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to plug the film that just came out. Did you get to go to the premiere?
I did not go to the premiere. I have not seen it, so no spoilers. I don't know how it ends. But
okay.
Well, I do.
You do.
I was there.
Yeah, I was like, you were there. I mean, you might not know. You were in. I mean, I don't know how you know what's going on when you've run that far or been awake that long. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're like, I have no idea what happened.
Most of it. I remember most
That's
of
pretty impressive. Yeah. So it highlights 5 women, 4 who ran 100 miles, and it's so good. John Kuhn, who's been on this podcast too.
Yeah, and it was great to be there and see that and witness it, right? Yeah. Because they all sort of stuck together and supported each other, and everybody else that was still in the race at that point was supporting them, back to the idea of cooperation and competition. Yeah. It's a race, it's a competition, but at the same time we all are trying to like lift everybody else up and support everybody else and what their goals are.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people like, okay, come on, you're coming out for this last one more.
Yep.
Go one more.
Yep.
Yeah. So how many yards off were you from the winner? I don't remember how many
Abe
yards.
and Angel got to the night loop.
The second night.
And then stopped. And Abe and I had talked a while. We ran together most of the race.
Okay.
And I won't speak for everybody, but at least Abe and I couldn't stand the night course. Not because it's awful. It's just, it's in the dark and it's out and back on the bike trail. and it's just monotonous.
You might as well be on a treadmill.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, all you've got is your headlamp.
Yeah.
And you're on this, paved path, and you're just going out and back and out and back and out and back. So I think I had heard Abe talking about, and hey, I don't know. I think I'll go until we have to switch to the night course, and then I'm done. So I think both of them did one loop on the night course.
Okay.
And then they were done. And so Jeff.
It's so interesting. Like, how do you decide who's going to win? Like, because you both want to win. That's so crazy to me. So interesting. I'll have to talk to both of them at some point too. Why the difference in the night loop or like the night course? Is it safety?
I think it's safety for the most part.
Okay.
The other backyard ultra that I've competed in regularly is Grind on the Grid.
Oh,
Matt
yeah.
Cantrell is the sort of
Didn't
organizer.
You started that, right?
I don't know if I didn't do any work. I was there for the first one. So if
so
that
you
counts
basically
as helping
started
start it, then sure. But, Matt's probably, if he's watching this, laughing.
Yeah,
right?
he's like,
I
no.
didn't do anything. Matt had to do all the work.
Yeah.
But that was the same course the entire time.
Okay. Well, it seems like I just think about other races you've done, which we will talk about, where it's like, okay, those seem a lot more treacherous and dangerous than little Noblesville, Indiana.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not run the loop, the day loop before, so I don't know.
It's, as far as a backyard ultra course, it's almost perfect because it's the crushed gravel at Katiwi Park. So it's easy on the joints. There's a little lollipop section that you do where, everybody goes out, does a smaller loop, and then comes back onto the bigger loop.
Yep. Okay.
And so you get to see folks coming and going, right, which is always good for the spirit.
Yes.
And then you come back into camp, and you've got all the stuff you need right there. You've got, bathrooms, you got your tent, you've got the, all really close to the start line. So it's almost ideal conditions.
Yeah.
I would say. What
was your strategy? Did it vary in terms of how fast you would run to get a certain amount of time?
I just tried to stay as consistent as possible. And I had a sort of a run-walk method I was using. So I think it was run 5 minutes, walk 2, or run 6 minutes, walk 2, and I might switch it up.
Okay.
Just to sort of keep me around 48 to 50 minutes a yard.
Okay.
Which gave me 10 minutes to sit down, change any gear, grab something to eat.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well. 10
minutes seems so short. I'm sure it feels long after the first one. You're like, okay, I just want to keep going. Yeah. But what do you, and Trena was your crew chief.
The amazing crew chief that she is, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What food did you have in your tent?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
So your typical potato chips, energy bars. I've stumbled on fruit pies, the Hostess fruit pies that you can get at the convenience store or whatever. They come in a box.
Kind of sounds really disgusting, but I feel like...
Either apple or cherry, but I'm telling you what, it's 400 calories of pure sugar.
Yeah,
right?
That works.
And it tastes great when all you've had are gels or potato chips or, pretzels or peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
They had somebody was grilling burgers at the Prairie event last year. So I can't remember. It might have been sometime in the afternoon, day one. I sat down and Trena's like, I got you a cheeseburger. She hands me this cheeseburger. And it was probably one of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So downed an entire cheeseburger. The whistle blew. Time to get back in the corral and off you go.
Yeah. Wow. And people oftentimes will switch shoes out. Did you do that?
I don't think I did. No.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be so hard. It would take me 10 minutes to get my shoes on and off, depending on how far along you are, I suppose, in the race.
And I've switched shoes in 100-mile events where, your feet are wet or, muddy
that makes sense.
Or whatever.
Okay.
If you've got foot issues going on and you need to deal with those, you've got to take your shoes off anyway. So why not, put a fresh pair of shoes on?
Yeah.
And sometimes... it's a mental boost more than anything else to put a nice fresh pair of dry shoes on. You're like, I feel great.
Starting fresh.
I can go forever now. I'm good.
Yeah. Right? Did you wear the same clothes?
Same shorts, if I remember right. Now I think maybe you're right. I don't remember as many details as I thought. Same shorts for
maybe
sure.
I wore 4 shirts. I think
I put a longer pair of pants on for overnight over them. And then I changed out my top a few times.
Okay.
Just put a fresh short sleeve shirt on or a long sleeve shirt for the overnight loop.
Yeah. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I've seen people had tubs, the, not Tupperware, the big plastic drawers.
Yeah. We had, I think 4 or 5 of those, and each one was for a different thing. So one had food, one had clothing, one had, race gear.
Yeah. The only thing that I've done that's anywhere close is a Ragnar.
Okay.
where we had stuff in a
Logistically.
van.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw other vans that did have those plastic. I'm like, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you'd learn something, pick up on something every year that you'd see somebody else had done. Did you walk around at all, though, like to other tents? Or were you like strictly,
No,
I'm in
I
my
was-
tent, I'm
yeah,
back at the start?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We would come back through on that loop. TJ gave me a good tent position, either that or
Yeah,
I
you
just
had a
lucked
really
out.
nice one. Yeah.
So I would be able to run by the tent, and I would ask Trena for whatever I needed that time. I'm like, hey,
perfect.
you
Get it
know,
ready.
Get
my pie
this
ready.
I'd cross the finish line and then walk the 15 feet back to
Yes.
the tent and sit down and wait until the whistle.
Yeah, I
to
didn't
get
even
back
really
in.
think about the tent position. That makes a huge difference, in
difference.
some cases, I'm
It does.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so has Trena, I'm sure, crewed you in other races before?
Oh, yeah, all the
and
time.
so what kind of things do you tell her, like, okay, don't let me quit until I've done at least this, or don't say this? You know, she might at this point know what to say or not to say to you, but I feel like that's such an important relationship.
I'm surprised she didn't tell you this story.
Okay.
Okay. So the first 100 I attempted was Leadville, which is pretty, I mean, for somebody from Indiana who doesn't have access to like a lot of elevation training
Right.
and doesn't live at altitude,
Yeah.
to decide that they're going to run their first 100-miler at Leadville, which starts out at 10,500 feet and I think climbs to like 12,165 feet
Wow.
over Hope Pass. I mean, maybe not the best decision I've ever made in terms of signing up for a race, but that was my first 100. Trena was obviously going to help crew. I convinced Todd Oliver and Jenny Blake also to come out
Okay.
there and help crew as well and pace. And so we spent a lot of time ahead of Leadville training, coming up with a training to crew in addition to like training to run.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we had maps of the course
Gosh,
and all
yeah.
the aid stations and what the plan was for each one and what I was going to need and all of that. And so there were 2 rules in terms of crewing, and
Okay.
that was
Just 2.
just 2. But the first one was, once the gun goes off, I'm no longer in charge. Trena's in charge. And
Yeah.
the second rule was,
I mean, Trena's always in charge, let's
right,
be honest.
but-
Okay.
because you're absolutely right. When you're sleep deprived and tired and like,
Yeah.
dealing with altitude and you're not thinking straight, you shouldn't be the one making decisions, right? Like
Yeah.
you should. Like Trena was capable of making those decisions, so Trena was in charge. Once the gun goes off, Trena's in charge. And then the second one was, you never ask, how are you feeling? It's always, hey, you look great. What do you need?
Yeah.
Hey, you look
Yeah.
great. What do you need? Not, hey, how you feeling? Because
How do you think I'm freaking
yeah, I'm feeling
Yeah,
awful, right?
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
And Leadville is Colorado, correct? Okay. And what was the furthest that you would run? Did you kind of make the progression from?
Yeah, I did I've heard you talk about it on previous podcasts, the stair steps. So half marathon, 50K, 50 mile, 100K, and then 100 miler.
100 mile.
And I signed up for Leadville because I had this vision in my head, like, oh, I love the mountains. And I do. I love the mountains. I love being out west.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out there. And I'm like, how great would it be to run 100 miles in Colorado? That would be great. And, signed up. It's a lottery.
Okay,
and
that's
got
I
selected.
couldn't remember. Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my
awesome.
gosh.
I got in. I'm like, well, I'm going to go run. And then you get there and you're like, oh, now I get it. Yeah.
Oh, this is hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially for us flatlanders, man.
Yeah.
So did you go out days in advance to adjust to altitude?
There's sort of 2 trains of thought
Okay.
on that. And I'm no physiologist or anything, so I'm uneducated. It's just based on experience and what I've read,
Yeah.
right? Which is you either go out 2 or 3 weeks or more ahead of time, which gives your body a chance to acclimate and to start producing more red blood cells so that you have more oxygen in your blood because you're at altitude. Or you go out right before so that by the time your body figures out what's going on, you're done,
Okay.
right? And so we opted for that
Yeah.
for that strategy. So we went on, I think, a Thursday. Friday was packet pickup and everything, and then the race starts on Saturday, if I recall correctly. Right?
Okay.
But I had gone out for run camp. So they do have a run camp you can sign up for.
Interesting.
And that was really fun because I think that's in June. The race is in August. So
Okay.
it's a perfect sort of, they put together this whole weekend. It's basically a supported training run where you do the entire course, not all 100 miles, but you do the 50 miles
Wow.
over the course of 3 days.
Okay.
So they start you out on the first day at night running from May Queen back into Leadville. So it'll be dark, which for most people that are finishing in a decent time, that'll be the conditions you're under.
Okay.
And then they do a training run from May Queen to Twin Lakes the next day. And then they do a training run from Twin Lakes to Winfield and back, which is over Hope Pass as one of the other days. So over the course of those 3 days, you run the entire course.
Wow. But in that case, you don't get any buckles.
No buckles.
Even though you're running so far.
But I met people I've done the run camp there 3 times.
Cool. Yeah.
That I've met people in those run camps that I'm still friends with today. It's just a great experience, and you get a lot of time with people, and you're doing something hard together, so it builds a bond.
I mean, run camp in general sounds like an absolute blast.
Yeah.
Like people should create more of those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly I see run retreats and things like that exist, but yeah, I would love to be able to go do something like that.
And if you're running the race, then you have an opportunity to see the course and understand what you're getting into, and enough time to maybe adjust strategy or do different kinds of training. But
yeah. Jeez.
So that was our strategy for Leadville. Get in, hopefully get the race finished. Spoiler alert, I DNF'd. Before your body rebels against you.
Yeah.
And once the gun goes off, Trena's in charge, and it's never how you feeling. It's, hey, you look great. What do you need?
Yeah. Okay, so at what point did you DNF?
At Winfield, at the turnaround, the 50-mile mark.
50
so
miles.
It's an out and back course. You start in Leadville. You run down around Turquoise Lake, at the around the base of Mount Ebert into Twin Lakes, and then Twin Lakes over Hope Pass into Winfield, which is an old abandoned mining town. You turn around there, and then you do the whole thing in reverse. And I felt great through Outward Bound, which is it's the second aid station. You go through May Queen at Turquoise Lake and then Outward Bound. I felt great there. Saw Trena and everybody there. And then I felt by the time I got to Twin Lakes, the altitude sickness had sort of set in, which was weird because I really didn't experience that during run camp. So I wasn't expecting it.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah. So couldn't keep anything down, was just nauseous, headache. And so it's this death spiral you end up in where you're not eating, you're not drinking. And so I rolled into Twin Lakes, raging headache, and crew was there and, stuffed a bag full of salted potatoes in my hand and a couple of Tylenol and, some water in a flask, and slapped me on the butt and sent me out the opposite way, right? Or on my way.
Yeah.
So then you go over Hope Pass, which is a huge climb. You go from like 9,600 feet to 12,165 feet in, I want to say 3 miles. I don't know for sure, but I think that's my recollection. And it's a tough climb. I mean, you're going like almost,
I can't even
feels
imagine.
like straight up.
Yeah.
And I got into Winfield, and I was way behind schedule at this point because I had put together a plan that was based on the fact that, I'm just going to go run 100 miles in Colorado at elevation and everything will be great. And based all my like estimated pace times on previous 50 milers and 100Ks I've run, which is like comparing apples to oranges. And so I remember this. It's probably one of the things I feel worst about in terms of, Trena and I and our relationship and the time we've known each other is like, I felt like I disappointed her so much because I rolled into Winfield and already in my head, I was like, I'm not going back out. I'm done. Like, I can't do that all over again. There's no way. It's not physically possible. And Trena is standing there, ready to go. She's got her shoes on because she was going to pace me back starting from there.
Oh.
She's got her shoes on. She's got her hydration vest. She's got my drop bag. Like, she's literally standing there at the aid tent waiting for me. And who knows how long she's been standing there, maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes. And for the crew, one of the challenging pieces of Leadville is like logistics because the aid stations are far apart from each other. These are old mining towns, so it's like washed out, rutted out roads. And there's no way everybody can't just drive to these aid stations. Otherwise it would be a disaster.
Right.
So they have a shuttle system, but
oh boy.
yeah, that never works out how anybody ever plans it to. And so she had probably spent most of the time I was running from Twin Lakes to Winfield, just trying to get to Winfield, just to be there in time for me to be there.
Yeah.
Right. And she's just ready to go. And it's, you look great. What do you need? And I'm like, I'm done. And so she sat down, we talked about it a little bit, and I did the math, which was a mistake, and we can talk about that. But I did the math, and I said, wow, it took me 13 hours. I had made it ahead of a cutoff by like 45 minutes.
Wow.
So I said it took me 13 hours to get here. I did this last section in, I want to say, 4.5 hours. It took me 4.5 hours, I think, to get from Twin Lakes to Winfield. So about 10 miles, maybe longer than that, I don't know. And I did the math in my head, and I'm like, I can't, because the climb back over Hope Pass is actually a little bit more technical than the one out of Twin Lakes. There's a lot of scree and rocks on that side of Hope Pass. Oh, scree is like large rocks and like pieces of rocks that you see on the top of a mountain caused by lightning strikes.
I've never heard that term in my life. I learned
it's like loose rock. Imagine like really big, like plate-sized or like small boulder-sized rock that's just
obviously you don't want to kick
up.
that in the face of the
right,
person
and it's
down
just
the
hard
mountain.
to get footing, and like it's loose and it's pretty precarious. Like you could twist an ankle, break an ankle pretty easy. And so I'd convinced myself to get back over and make the cutoff out of Twin Lakes. I had to do it in 4 hours and 15 minutes. So I had to do it 15 minutes faster than I had, and I DNF'd.
Yeah.
Right? And then Trena and I spent another hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes trying to get back to Twin Lakes to Todd and Jenny. They have no idea I've dropped at this point. They think I'm heading back into Twin Lakes because there's no cell phone coverage in the middle of nowhere. Gosh. Right. So logistically, it's really tough at Leadville. And so we did end up finally making it back. But I think what I realized, because it was my first 100-miler, is when I got to Winfield, I'm like, I've never felt like this before. I feel awful. This is impossible. I'm never going to be able to do this. And then once you do another one or you finish a 100-miler, you're like, oh, you always feel this bad at some point during the race. You're like, that was perfectly normal, but I had no context for it, right? And you're like, oh, this is awful. Something's wrong. You're like, nope, everything's perfectly normal. That's exactly how you should feel after running 50 miles in the mountains at elevation.
Yeah. Geez. Shay Aquilano, do you know that name?
Yeah, I know Shay.
When she was on this podcast, she said it never always gets worse. And I was like, oh, right. You're at a point where it's really, really bad, but it can't just like keep getting worse. At some point, it's got to turn around, which I thought was really interesting to think about, especially in the context of those types of races. Right.
Which, back to the Backyard Ultra format, is why I think a Backyard Ultra in a lot of respects is actually harder than a 100-miler. So,
oh boy,
in a typical 100-miler, like, because 100-milers have cutoffs and at aid stations and cutoffs at the finish line, but they're fairly generous for the most part. And if something's going wrong, if you're nauseous or you've got a niggle somewhere in your hip, or like something's going on with your feet, you can walk for 20 minutes and like problem solve and sort it out. Which is what I love about ultras. Is it's physical, but it's mental and it's problem solving and it's logistics, and that's just super interesting to me and fun. And so if you're running 100 miles like at Leadville, you can afford to just take 15, 20, 30 minutes and walk for a while and just sort it out. Like, okay, let me think about this. Let me problem solve. This is what's going on. Here's what I can do about it. Here's what I need at the next aid station. But to your point earlier, when you've got 10 minutes in between yards at a backyard, you've got 10 minutes to figure stuff out. So if you can't problem solve and figure it out in 10 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, after watching the latest documentary, I'm like, okay, I really want to sign up.
You should.
I know.
I think there are a few more spots left.
I know. And TJ's like egging me on for the full mow as well. Have you ever done the full mow?
I've not, but Trena has. Obviously, Trena's run everything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when I interviewed her, she hadn't done the full mow before.
Yeah, I think she did it last year with her sister. Yeah.
I was trying to remember if I saw her when I was cheering. But yeah, for people who don't know, that's a 50K that's on a rail trail, which is our paved path through town. So obviously very different from like a Leadville type of situation.
Challenging. I mean, it's 50K.
I mean,
32 miles.
Yeah. So I'm also thinking about like, okay, I never thought I'd ever consider running an ultra, because maybe this is a good time to kind of go back too, because I'm sure people listening who don't know you at all are like, wow, this guy is like, oh, must have always been a runner.
Oh.
I mean, to run 100 miles, did you ever think in your life you'd be running 100 milers?
No.
I mean, does anybody?
I didn't even know like people did that. Like I didn't know it was a thing. Like obviously you grow up and you see the Boston Marathon on the news and you're like, okay, a marathon is a thing. But growing up, I didn't even know running 100 miles was a thing. I played Little League baseball growing up. I was never really any good. I was decent enough and capable, and so got to play, and it was fun. Once you get into middle school, especially in like little league baseball, you start to weed out the good players from the bad players, and I obviously was not a good player, so I had to go find something else to do, and played football in junior high and high school.
Okay.
I went to Brown County Junior High and high school, so grew up in Brown County, Bean Blossom area, just south of Morgantown.
Okay, for people who don't know, that's southern Indiana-ish.
Yeah.
Little hillier
the beginning
there.
of southern. It definitely is. I love it down there. It's beautiful. And so, I was in good shape physically, obviously, to play high school football. Like I said, I wasn't really great. I think the coach kept me on the team because, like, I did whatever he asked, and I was a hard worker, and like sometimes means more than anything else. Right?
Yeah, I can see that.
If you're not naturally talented, at least you try to work to pay, make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
But running as part of like conditioning for football was the absolute worst. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, especially you're doing August 2-a-days, which is where you have 2 practices a day before school starts, a morning and an afternoon practice, and you're out running in full gear in an open grassy field. It's 86 degrees with like 80% humidity. It's just miserable, awful.
Yes.
And so I hated running. Like, that was like, once we got done with the running part of practice, like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to run anymore. You may have seen those bumper stickers. I've seen them where it's like, my sport is your sport's punishment.
Oh,
about runners.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's like running is other sports' punishment. And that's, and when we got in trouble, quote unquote.
Right, run laps.
So you'd be like, take off, do a lap.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a soccer player growing up, so it was exactly that. Hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after high school then, I stopped being athletic altogether, right? Because, and I'm sure this is a common thing for folks, is like in high school you play football, and so you have a reason to stay in shape and a structure and a place to do that. And then I didn't play sports in college, obviously, because I wasn't going to play football in college. I barely was on the team in high school. There's no way I was going to do it in college. And so I just got way out of shape. And then that turned into, working in IT, doing some consulting work and traveling a lot, which turned into like travel, on airplanes all the time, in airports, eating bad food. And so over time, like, I eventually got in awful shape. And I think I told you a little bit about this, is like that, one of the things I'm most proud of is probably that I saw where things were going. And I was like, Bobby, you got to do something about this, buddy. Like, if you don't get this under control, you're going to end up like a lot of my family and folks I know, older folks that I grew up with who are just not in great shape, and they're relatively young in terms of age, but like they don't have their health. And I was smoking at least a pack of cigarettes a day at that point.
Yeah, geez.
And eating fast food all the time, and not exercising, and drinking way too much, and
probably not sleeping great too when you're on the road all the time. Yeah.
And staying out late at the bar. And
like that lifestyle, totally.
It totally was catching up with me, right? And so I had finally decided I was going to quit smoking, and so I did. I want to say it was Halloween of 2007. I'm almost certain was the year. I know it was Halloween because I had decided November 1st was my date.
Okay.
Like, everybody starts with January, New
like,
Year's.
okay.
And I was like,
start of the month.
I'm just going to start on the 1st of November.
Was this your first time trying to quit?
I had tried to quit before.
Okay.
A couple of times. It didn't last very long.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this made sense to me at the time, but in my head, I had decided that you can't both be a smoker and a runner at the same time. Not physically possible. And so if I become a runner, then that will help me not be a smoker. And it will also help me get into shape and all of that. And so I started running on the treadmill at the Y for like run, walk.
On November 1st?
Yeah. And I would do like a mile, and it would take me 30 minutes or whatever it was.
Right. Wow.
And then it just sort of, it worked. Stopped smoking, started getting better shape, started taking better care of myself, and then it became a mental thing, right? It's like, oh, okay, could I run a half marathon? Is that even possible? And so Rob Beeler, I don't know, folks in tech in Indianapolis would recognize Rob's name, but I worked at Double Take Software at the time.
Okay.
Rob was the VP of engineering there, and he had gone through like a similar transformation, probably even more than I had, and had become a runner and a triathlete, and we had talked about me starting to run, and he was very encouraging. I owe a lot to him in terms of
It's amazing that
getting started.
How great that you said something. I mean, that'd be so intimidating. I think in a lot of ways to be like, hey, look at me, I'm so out of shape. Like, can you help me learn how to do that? Yeah,
right, exactly.
Really, really, great.
And I could look to him as an inspiration for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And that being one of them.
Wow.
And I think I've got this correct. He had signed up for the mini marathon in 2009.
Okay.
But something came up and he couldn't run it. And so he said, well, hey, you're doing this running thing. Why don't you take my bib for the mini marathon? And I was like, I can't run a half marathon. What are you talking about, Rob? And he's like, no, you could run a half marathon. And so he transferred the bib to me. I paid the fee to get it transferred.
Okay, so you did it officially too.
And,
wow.
and I was like, okay, now in 6 months, I'm running a half marathon. So
well, at least you knew 6 months.
Yeah,
exactly. I was thinking 6 weeks.
No, it wasn't like that. And so then I signed up for, at the time, I think they still do it. They have a miler series where you do a 5K, a 10K, a 15K, and then you do that. So I signed up for that. I was all in and ended up running my first half, and that was pretty special. And that led to the next half, which led to another half, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, can I run a full marathon? And then you run a full marathon, you're like, okay, well, can I run a 50K? Right? I started to hear about these things called ultramarathons.
I mean, I don't know. Some people like me are like, oh, okay, I've run a marathon.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
No,
okay, done.
I run
Check
a few
it off
more.
the list.
Yeah, that's my husband. One and done, he says.
Okay.
We'll see about that.
So I was growing up not super athletic, maybe the opposite of that, but running was, I think, a big part of helping me sort of get back on the right path. Now, I'm by no means like I still eat horribly and I have all sorts of bad habits I probably should fix, but in general, I'm in a much better place than I was before I started running.
Yeah. And what I also find so interesting about your story is that you went to college, but you didn't finish college. You dropped out.
Yeah.
And today you work for one of the biggest software companies in the world, if not the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that decision? What caused you to do that? And where'd you go to undergrad, did you say?
Rose-Hulman.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in Terre Haute.
Yep.
Great school.
Yep.
So I graduated valedictorian from my class in high school. And so, of course, when you graduate valedictorian, you have to go to the best school. And so Rose-Hulman, is consistently rated the best undergraduate engineering school in the Midwest and in the U.S. And so, of course, that's where I'm going to go. And when I got there, I think I may have had a version of a midlife crisis at the age of 19. Because I had lived so much of my life trying to live up to other people's expectations of what I should do. Oh, you need to get straight A's. You need to play sports. You need to be on the honor roll, and you need to be in this and in that. And I think it just culminated in getting to college and having all of this newfound freedom and figuring out, oh, wait a second. I get to decide what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, and I would not recommend the choice I made to anybody. And Trena and I, we have, 2 kids. And, I felt really strongly that I wanted them to finish college.
Yeah.
Because it's hard if you haven't. And I think there's an experience that you get and learnings that you have that aren't sort of academic by going to college.
Right.
But I got lucky because this would have been the early 90s. And so information technology or IT or tech was just getting started. And you weren't learning in college to do the kinds of things I wanted to actually do in a career because there wasn't a curriculum for it. It was all being invented. And so part of me was why am I wasting 4 years studying theory and a bunch of classes that don't have anything to do with what I want to do? And meanwhile, the industry is being born right now and there's so much happening. And so I decided, well, I'm going to go the route of getting some industry certifications and getting an entry-level job and sort of starting there. And so that eventually led to another job, which led to another job, which, eventually led to, working at Microsoft and Google and now back at Microsoft.
Yeah.
So.
Which is, a smart decision at the time, seems. It worked out.
Now it seems like a smart decision.
Right, in retrospect.
It did not seem like a smart decision then.
Right. I'm sure your parents
were
not
because
pleased.
I was going to be the first of my kids to go to college too.
Oh, okay. How many siblings do you have?
2 sisters.
Okay. Are they older?
Yes, both way older. My oldest sister's 13 years older than me.
Wow, okay.
And my next oldest sister is 11 years older than me.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
was,
so
I
you
was
were
a
going to
mistake.
pave the way. Oh, you were.
I was in
Great.
Oops.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. And you were going to be the first to go.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And it ended up being the younger of my two sisters.
Yeah.
Two sisters.
Wow. Okay. So at what point in this life did you meet Trena, and how did you meet?
So that would have been, I had been married, and that's where we had my two kids. And then we split up, and it was a couple of years after that I was working at Double Take Software, which was a software company here in Indianapolis. And we had put out a bid for a web project that I was managing to a local web consulting firm. And the account exec we were working with invited me out to lunch to discuss the project. And it just so happens that Trena was going to a meeting with this person after our lunch. And so they just came together because it was easier than Trena.
Just waiting.
Right, exactly. Trena meeting up later with them.
Right.
And I remember leaving lunch. It was at Kona Jack's.
Oh, I love Kona Jack's.
Which is a seafood restaurant
sushi,
here in town. And I remember thinking, wow, I really like her. There's something about her that I really like. And so I, of course, instantly went to stalking her, trying to figure. I went to their website and went to the About section, and it talked about how, Trena has all these hobbies and spending time with her boyfriend and her dog. And I'm like, well, okay, guess.
Oh, dang.
Bad timing.
She put the boyfriend on the website.
Yeah, I know,
What?
right. She was invested.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember exactly how it came up.
Quick break in the show to tell you about Amazfit. Amazfit is a global smart wearable brand that designs smartwatches, fitness trackers, and health technology for active lifestyles. If you are looking to upgrade your watch, pay attention. Amazfit is a great alternative to the typical expensive options out there. Amazfit has all of the functionality that you need and want for running and beyond without the big price point. The other thing I love about Amazfit is the battery life. This has a battery life of 21 days. So I no longer have to stress about whether or not my watch is charged. I've definitely had issues with that in the past. So I only charge it when I'm in the shower, and that keeps it charged for as much as I need. I also wear it in my sleep to track my sleep. So I wear it all the time. So if you are looking, again, to upgrade your watch or looking for a new watch, look at Amazfit. They also have other products in their suite of wearables that all can sync together. You can go to amazfit.com. That's AMAZFIT.com. And you can use code AllieB at checkout for 10% off of your order. And the watch that I wear, by the way, is the Balance 2. So highly recommend, very happy with it. So new year, new watch, go get an upgrade at amazfit.com. Thank you, Amazfit, for supporting this podcast.
And so I can't remember exactly how it came up, but I'd had some conversation with that account exec again, and somehow Trena came up, and I don't remember exactly how it happened, but somehow she let out that Trena was no longer with this other person. And I was like, interesting. And so I came up with a couple of sort of manufactured reasons to have work meetings with Trena.
Oh, that's so.
Lunches and whatnot. And, eventually got up the courage to ask her out on a date. And that was 17 years ago last December, I think.
And I'm trying to remember her timeline of running now.
She was already runner.
I was going to say, she had to have been running at that time.
She was. And it used to frustrate the heck out of me because when I signed up for that first mini marathon, Trena had run the mini marathon several times before.
Yeah.
But Trena's training regimen for the mini marathon, I don't know if she shared this with you, was to do no running until the 6 weeks before the mini marathon, and then go to the Y 5 or 6 times and just make sure her legs still worked, and then show up at the race and run.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And here I was, with a notebook, tracking my mileage and my time and regimen and scheduled and just frustrated me. She would just show up and run the thing. And I'm like, I've got to do all this training and hard work, and you just show up and make it look so easy.
She does. I mean, she, to this day, makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just running a million marathons.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. And so now you've been together for a long time. Do you still have your Sunday run dates?
Not usually.
Okay.
It depends on whether, I like to joke, it depends on whether she has a better offer or not. And so, as you know, Trena's a very social person.
Yes.
She's got, a really tight-knit group of friends that she runs with. And so if there's not a planned run that she's a part of on a Sunday, I might be lucky enough to get a run date on Sundays.
Okay. There you go. Well, I remember her telling me that. It was so cute. I was like, that's so nice. I miss running with my husband. we did the Chicago Marathon together. I can't remember the year, but it must have been like 2012, something like that.
Okay.
But you and Trena have done Chicago together. Is that,
Yes.
how many races have you done together?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So Chicago Marathon, I think it was 2013, was her first marathon.
Okay.
And we did literally run together the entire time. And we did a lot of training through that cycle together. And she had asked me, because at that point I had run a couple of marathons and
Okay, so you ran marathons before Trena. Okay.
Yeah. And so she had asked me to help sort of put together a training plan for her and share what worked with me. And I can remember we were on a long training run one Saturday leading up to Chicago. And Trena is very stubborn in a good way and sort of like knows what she wants, and she's set in her way. And so we had some disagreement about her mileage for a particular weekend, and she had decided to sign up for some race, I think, which was always a frustration for me as sort of her couch, her armchair quarterback type of coach.
Yeah.
It was like, I put together this training schedule for you, and you just often signed up for this silly half marathon race, and it's going to mess up your training plan.
Yeah.
And at one point I was like, you're just not coachable. And and so at that point we decided it was probably best if like I didn't try to be her run coach, and that we don't necessarily like need to always run together to enjoy running together.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yes.
so we did run Chicago together. We talked about having a safe word.
Oh,
But
that's
not
funny.
that kind of safe
Yeah.
word. And basically the safe word was, at some point one of us is not going to feel it and the other will be feeling it, and we don't want to limit the other person's potential to have a good race. And so I think our race word might have been banana. And it was
banana.
like, so if I say banana, then she knows she can drop me. It's okay. We don't have to stick together. I'm not feeling it. Go do your thing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so since then, we've run together on occasion, but most of the time if we're running the same race, we're just doing our own thing. And she does a lot of pacing.
She does a lot of pacing.
So it works out really well that way. So we can still enjoy the experience together, but we don't necessarily have to be together the entire time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes
Yeah.
complete sense. Okay. So have you crewed her then in a race ever?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. You guys are so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I remember you telling me that there's a David Goggins story,
Oh, there is a David Goggins story.
which I think would be pretty cool to share. So what is your David Goggins story?
So I'm sure everybody at this point is familiar with David Goggins. And I think some people ascribe to his
either you love
his
it or you
mental
don't,
approach.
probably.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You either love it or you don't. I totally respect what he's accomplished. And he's obviously mentally tough and physically tough.
If people don't know, if people maybe don't know, in a few words, maybe describe like.
I mean, he's got 2 books out. Don't Hurt Me, I think, was his first book, and he's got a second book out. I just listened to that audio book.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it. But, I mean, definitely go look him up. But essentially, the very short version of the story is that, he had been in the Air Force and had left the Air Force, and after that had sort of gotten into really bad shape and was like 300 pounds and just, again, like me in some respects, in more respects really, going down the wrong path, and just saw a Navy SEAL commercial on television, was like, I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL. And everybody laughed at him until he became a Navy SEAL. But I think he had to go through Hell Week 3 times. He had like stress fractures and got yanked the first 2 times, but eventually became a Navy SEAL. And it's a really cool story, right?
Yeah, I probably should listen to his books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the David Goggins story is sort of one of those sort of happen chance things that happen. So I was at Google at the time.
Okay.
Google, worked for Google Cloud, managed a team of technical sellers there.
Have you always lived in Indy?
Yes.
In Trena? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always lived in Indy, was working for Google at the time. The team I managed was, covered Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky.
Okay.
So we had a few of my team here in Indiana, and then the others were in, Cincinnati area, Louisville area. And we were doing a customer event. One of those things where you have an evening, you bring bring customers in, you have a motivational speaker, a business speaker, and then you have hors d'oeuvres and drinks, and like it's a networking type event thing. And Rick Hornstrom, who was one of the sales managers at the time, I can remember sort of on this planning call for this event we were having in Detroit, threw out, well, hey, if we're looking for a speaker, we should get David Goggins. And I remember thinking, there's no way these Google marketing folks are going to go for bringing David M.F.N. Goggins, to the Google Cloud, like this business event with a bunch of CTOs and IT managers and all these people for him to speak. There's no way that's going to happen. And they're like, go find out how much it costs. And so Rick went and found out, I think it was like $25,000 or whatever it was. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that'll put the end to that. There's no way we're going to pay $25,000 to have David Goggins come speak. And no, sure enough, Google was like, yeah, no problem. They wrote the check. So we set up the event. It was going to be, David Goggins was going to do this motivational business-y talk in the evening at the Google offices in Detroit, which were really cool. And so we ended up on this planning meeting, Rick, me, a partner we were working with, and David Goggins and his person, sort of planning out the logistics. Like, you're going to get in on Thursday morning, the event's Thursday evening, here's what time it's going to be, here are the expectations, like what questions do you have, where are you staying, all of that. And so Rick, in typical Rick fashion, pipes up on the call, hey, David, what's your mileage on Thursday? And David's like, well, I'll probably run like 10 to 13. Rick's like, hey, you want some company? We can show you a running route. Rick is a runner too. And I'm thinking, what? And so Goggins is like, thinks about it. And I'm sure he's probably gotten all sorts of requests like that. And so, I would imagine his instinct is to say no. Like, I don't want to have to deal with
I don't know who you,
who are you?
Yeah.
Like, what? I'm not going to. He's like, all right, meet me at the hotel at 10 a.m. on Thursday morning.
Gosh.
So Rick and this other guy and I show up at the hotel Thursday morning.
How are you feeling?
I was hungover because we were all out Wednesday night, like partying up the night before after work. And so we show up and David's ready to go at 10 a.m. and we take off from the hotel. And the plan was to go out and run Belle Isle, which is in the river there in Detroit, and do a loop on Belle Isle and then come back. And I remember at one point, I think the guy's name is Cameron I was running with. So Rick and David Goggins were out front.
Okay.
Cameron and I were behind. I remember looking down at my watch, and we're like 3 miles in, and we're doing 6:15 a minute miles.
Okay.
We're moving.
Yeah.
Because Rick's pretty competitive, and so Rick would go a little bit faster. David would try to keep up with Rick. Rick would even go faster. And so we're just hanging on for dear life. And we get to Belle Isle, and at that point, I look at Cameron, and I'm like, I cannot do 13 miles at 6:15. I was not in that kind of shape at that point. And he's like, yeah, I agree. And so we said, hey, go ahead and go without us. Like, we'll meet up with you, whatever. So they continue to run around. They do the full loop at Belle Isle, and they come back and get us. And then we're heading back to the hotel. And sure enough, I look down at my watch, and here we are at like 6:05, 6:10, 6:15. I'm just like, these guys just will not let up. And so we ended up getting back to the hotel. I looked down. We had run 13 miles on a Thursday morning at 10 a.m., and it was the fastest half marathon I'd ever run. It was like an hour and 28 minutes, an hour and 27 minutes.
Wow.
And David, the entire time, was just like you and I are sitting here talking, not even breathing hard. Just,
gosh.
He's pretty amazing from a physical perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were hungover a little bit. That's
like,
crazy.
Not feeling great.
Yeah, I mean.
And it was just like a random Thursday. I didn't taper for
this.
You
didn't go through your like morning race day routine.
Right.
You didn't.
No, just showed up.
Did you have any fuel on you?
No, zero. Yeah. No water, no gels, nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm surprised that when you and Cameron were like, okay, we'll see you back. I'm surprised David Goggins didn't give some sort of like.
Oh no, he gave us plenty of crap about it. Yeah, 100%.
But not even David Goggins could get you to keep going with him? Like, that's pretty...
I don't think it was physically possible at that point.
Right, yeah.
But what was interesting is that I had a chance to talk to David because that he was running Leadville the year I attempted Leadville, and so it would have been 2019.
Oh.
And I remember seeing David come back over Hope Pass into Twin Lakes as I was going out. So I told him that whole story, and then he broke it down into like coach mode at the point. He's like, okay, here's what you need to do. You're going back next year. You need to do 1,000 lunges. You need to do this. You need to do that. And so he was breaking it down for me, exactly what you need to do to finish Leadville. But
you get like the notes out on your phone. I'd be like, I'm not going to remember all this.
I'm not going to remember all of this. But it was great. And so I think afterwards, he signed his book or whatever at the event. And so I had my Leadville bib with me from 2019. So I took it. He signed it. Bob, Stay Hard, David Goggins. It was pretty cool. Good interaction.
That's pretty cool. Do you have it framed?
I don't have it framed. It is tucked away safely, though.
You should frame it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah, that is a really cool story.
So,
have you since beat that time?
No. It's literally to this day the fastest half marathon I've ever run on a random Thursday morning in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess why would you I mean, you leave that there. That's a great way to say, yeah, that's my
Fastest marathon was David Goggins.
Yeah. That's a pretty mic drop.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, you've got some other crazy stories too, where you were on the way to a race and you hit a deer with your car.
Oh, right.
Right. Like these are insane.
Right. So this would have been the Beaverhead Endurance 100K.
Okay, what state?
It's in Idaho.
Okay.
It's in Salmon, Idaho, which is up in the panhandle of Idaho, so up between Washington and Montana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so it's in the middle of nowhere. The entire course, like 95% of it is run on the Continental Divide Trail. So most of it's at elevation. And you fly into Boise, and then you drive 3.5 miles, or 3.5 hours.
Okay.
3.5 miles would be like,
like, woo, that's
3.5. Wow, 3.5 miles. You drive 3.5 hours, middle of nowhere, Idaho, to get to Salmon. And I had stopped for gas and a snack and stretched my legs, and I was like 45 minutes from Salmon. And I had booked a bed and breakfast. It was literally an older couple who owned a farm who rented out 2 rooms in their farmhouse. Like it was a working farm. And
how did you find that?
Because there was no hotel rooms because there's nothing in this town.
Wow.
And so I had found it on Airbnb or
Okay.
VRBO or something like that.
Okay.
And booked it. And so I stopped to get gas, stretch my legs, get a snack. I'm 45 minutes, like we're good here. The speed limit in that part of Idaho is like 85 miles an hour on the open, state highways because there's literally nothing around there. And so I'm in this town. I start to leave. Speed limit goes, 35, 45, 55, 85. And so I'm just coming up to speed as I get out of town. And I remember seeing the 85 mile an hour speed limit. And so start to accelerate as we're coming out of town. And out of nowhere, a mule deer comes out of the culvert, like the side of the road, the ditch in the side of the road. And I don't hit it. It ran into me, into the front left quarter panel of this Toyota Corolla, I think that's what it was, rental car that I was driving that literally had 400 miles on it. And the car is smashed up. There's blood and guts and deer poop all down the side of it. The deer is laying on the side of the road. I don't know what to do at this point. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
What time is this?
It was like in the afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
So it
which
was
is
light
weird.
out.
Yeah, it was totally light out.
That
Deer
is
don't
really
usually
weird.
move at
I was
that time
picturing
of
it
day.
being like crack of dawn or like dusk. Okay.
So again, completely
What?
surprised me.
And from the left, so it had to cross the other lane.
Yeah, I had to cross the other lane.
Okay.
And so I turned the car around and drive back into the town.
You could drive the car still?
When I got out, I was super surprised that it actually made it because the entire front of the car, I think you've seen a picture of it.
Yeah, Trena sent me a picture of it. It's
smashed.
insane.
And the driver's door wouldn't open. Like that's how bad the damage was. So I had to climb out through the passenger side. And
it didn't look like there were airbags deployed. Or did they?
You know what? I don't think the airbags did.
Which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's
a little
kind of
concerning.
Nuts. Maybe because of where it hit. It was a side impact instead of a head-on.
Usually you have side airbag. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And so I go inside, and the attendant at this one pump gas station in the middle of nowhere, rural Idaho, is like, well, I guess you should call the sheriff. I don't know what to tell you. And so he gave me the number. I barely had cell phone coverage. I had to stand on like one leg in the parking lot in a certain way to have,
not
enough
breathe.
bars.
Yeah.
And so I call, and he's like, oh, I'll be out there. It was literally called the sheriff.
That is funny. That is
who comes out in his pickup truck, and he's like, what's going on? I explained to him. He's like, all right, let me go check it out. So he takes off out of town. 5 minutes later, he comes back, and he is raring mad at me. And not at me specifically, but just upset.
I was like,
and
what?
he's like, did you cut the antlers off that deer? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, damn, I'm going to have to fill out paperwork. So apparently somebody had come along right after I had hit the deer and took its antlers, which at that point, from like I guess a natural resources perspective, was considered like some form of poaching. I don't know the exact laws. And so he had to now file a report with the DNR that I had hit this deer.
And somebody had come along with a saw? Like what?
Just cut the antlers off of it. And so he was upset, had no mercy or like empathy for me and my situation, which was I was in the middle of nowhere and trying to figure out how am I going to get either back to the airport or hopefully to this race. Luckily, I'd gone in a day ahead of time. So I had a day. So I'm on the phone with Avis Rental at that point, and the poor person in the customer service was trying to be helpful and was like, well, could you just call an Uber? I said, ma'am, I don't know if you
know what the state of
understand."
Idaho is, but
I'm like, I am 2 hours from 3 hours maybe from the nearest major city. I can't just call an Uber. I need you to call a tow truck to come and like get the car.
yeah.
Somehow I figure that out.
Jeez.
I wait around 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. About 9 o'clock that night, the tow truck finally shows up. The gas station's long
You're just
been
at
closed.
the gas station.
Sitting in the parking lot.
With no, I mean, there's nothing for
Nothing
you to do.
I'm just sitting there for 4 or 5 hours. Guy finally pulls up in the tow truck flatbed. And so the plan is he's going to put the car on the flatbed. He's going to drive to Twin Falls, Idaho, which is a 2.5-hour drive. And there's a small airport there with an Avis rental car facility. And I'm going to ride back with him and get a hotel room, wake up the next morning, get a rental car, drive back to Salmon through most of the same route that I took to get there. And so this tow truck driver and I got to be really good friends for 2.5 hours in the middle of the night in his pickup truck. He was sharing with me stories about his ex-wife and his current wife and his kids and how he's planning on leaving her. And I'm just like, man, I'm so tired right now. I just want you to get me to Twin Falls. And so I get to Twin Falls like 2 a.m, had a room at the Hyatt, get 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, wake up, go to the Avis rental car, get a new rental car, get back in the car, drive another 2.5 hours to get to this little town where I had hit the deer, and drive the same stretch of highway out of town. I was very diligent this time. I was looking in every ditch and make it to Salmon. But I think the funniest part of that story was after I had gotten back to the gas station, I needed to call the Airbnb person and just let this lady know I'm not going to make it tonight, but keep my room because I'm going to be there eventually. Yeah. And so I call her up and I explained to her
did you have stuff there still?
Yeah, I had my bag and all my clothes and so I said, hey, this is Bob. I'm renting the room, one of your rooms tonight. I just want to let you know I'm in, I can't remember the name of the town, I'm in so-and-so, but I hit a deer. The car's totaled. I'm working on trying to get a tow truck driver, and I'll still be there, but it's probably going to be tomorrow. And she's like, is the deer still alive? And I'm like, no, ma'am, it's pretty dead. And she's like, will it fit in your car? And I said,
what is it with these people? And
I said, no, it won't fit in the car. It's the little Toyota Corolla, and the car is pretty much total. I don't think it's going to make it there. And I was hoping maybe you could give me a ride. And she's like, no, we can't give you a ride, but it's a damn shame that we can't harvest the meat off of that deer. So that's why I was asking whether it would fit in the car or not.
I mean, somebody probably already harvested the meat.
And so in retrospect, maybe I should have told her, yes, it would fit in a car. And if one of them drove to get it, I could ride back with them. And so, long story short, I get to the Airbnb on Friday afternoon, get a fairly decent night's sleep, and I wake up at 3 o'clock the next morning on Saturday because race time started at 5 and you had to take a bus to get there, and ran the race. So it's a good thing I went out a day early.
That story is wild.
Yeah.
Wild. So. The antlers, I didn't expect that twist.
Yeah, me either.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was not happy because he was like, now I got to fill out paperwork.
Right. He's like, I didn't want to fill out a form for this.
So.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. And so what distance of race was this?
It was 100K. And that's where I learned the term scree, to go back to earlier.
Okay.
So this is a beautiful course. Like I said, most of it is on the Continental Divide Trail. Most of it's at elevation. You go through Lehigh Pass, which is this amazing section of the course where you make this really big climb out of the Lehigh Pass aid station, and you look back down and you can just see the entire valley below you, and it's just green and beautiful. And then at mile 54, there's this section they call the scree field, which is they literally send you straight up for 2.5 miles over nothing but rock and scree, and it's marked with tiny stakes with little pink flags, and you're spending first of all, you're not running, you're basically hiking, you're walking, and trying to make sure you don't get lost, because this scree field, you're on the top of the mountain essentially, and so it's 2,000 or 3,000 feet down either direction. Your footing's not very good anyway. You're 54 miles into this race, so you're tired. You're done. You're ready to be done. And got through that section, and it was just beautiful because you get to the top and you see this, alpine lake that's blue-green, and it had been a little rainy at that point, and so there was some cloud cover, but there was this beautiful rainbow that you feel like you can just reach out and touch. And I remember I had cell coverage, so I FaceTimed Trena.
Oh, wow.
To like show her like the rainbow and the glacial lake down there and all of that stuff. It was really cool. So
wow, and she's probably just glad you were alive.
Yeah. So it was worth it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Gosh, I just can't with that. So have you had any other run-ins with wildlife that we should know about?
Trying to think. No, probably not.
That's good.
Yeah, I think on a training run once in Washington, in the Cougar Mountain State Park one morning, an owl tried to grab my hat off my head. Must have thought I was a squirrel or something.
That's weird.
But outside of that, generally I try to stay away from the wildlife and they try to stay away from me.
Yeah.
There's enough danger when you're, running 100 miles that you don't need the added element of risk from like a wild animal.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like most of them probably stay away when they hear.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, so Trena, one of the things I love about Trena is just how she gives back. Mm-hmm. Like she's pacing, she's volunteering. Yeah. You have volunteered. Was it with Achilles that you ran with a blind runner at Flying Pig?
Right. I don't know if it was with Achilles or not. The way I remember the story going down was somebody had reached out, the Monumental Marathon. I don't remember which year it was. I was running the marathon. Dave Wilkinson, who was the guy that I guided, had reached out to the race director and said, hey, I'm a blind runner. I want to do this run. Do you have anybody that could do it? And it was literally, I think, 2 weeks before the race.
Oh.
And so obviously somebody reached out to Trena because Trena knows everybody, right? And so Trena was like, hey, you should do this. You could, you're totally his pace. You could totally guide him. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. It'd be fun. Good experience. And so in the matter of 2 weeks, I had to figure out all what's involved and what he needed and all of this stuff. And so Dave was an amazing guy. We ran the race in the Monumental Marathon. It was a lot of fun. Got to know him. He's got a great story. He's an amazing individual because he's not let the loss of his sight sort of keep him down.
Wow.
He worked for a technology company that built software that worked with people that need seeing assistance.
Yeah.
And so he would travel and do customer meetings and speak at conferences and everything else. And he did it all by himself. He did not have anybody with him.
Jeez.
It's just amazing what he was able to accomplish and navigate. And I can remember, I don't know all the features, but the iPhone has a lot of sort of seeing assist functionality built into it. And he could work that phone as well or better than I could, being able to see perfectly well.
Interesting.
And so Dave and I had a good time. We finished that race. And then he called me up, I think the following spring, to see if I would guide him at the Kentucky Derby Marathon. He wanted to run in honor and memoriam of a good friend of his who died of a heart attack. And I think there was an anniversary it might have been his birthday, if I recall correctly. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. When is it? And he's like, oh, it's Saturday the whatever.
Yeah,
I think
first Saturday, first Sunday in May probably.
And I realized I had already signed up to run the Flying Pig the next day on Sunday in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And Trena had signed up to run the half Derby marathon or half marathon at Derby and then run the Flying Pig marathon the next day.
Those are different.
Different races, but same weekend.
Okay. I did not know. I just rolled Derby. I don't know why I would roll
so I
Derby
guided him
that.
at Derby on Saturday, ran a marathon with Dave.
Right.
Trena finished the half marathon at Derby. We packed up our stuff in the car, drove to Cincinnati, had dinner, woke up the next morning, and then both of us ran the Flying Pig the next day. So that was the first time I had sort of done marathons back to back. And I think part of that was sort of the entry drug for me for ultramarathons. Ooh,
if I can do that.
If I can do that, I could run a 50K in a day or 50 miles.
Yeah.
Sure. But
wow.
Really great experience. A lot more difficult than you would expect. It requires teamwork and coordination to guide a runner. Mm-hmm. You basically have a 2-foot stretch of rope, and you have a loop that goes on your arm, and they have a loop that goes on their arm. And you both have vests so that everybody knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm. The bright yellow.
Stay out of these folks' way, right? Because
don't cut this guy off.
Yeah. And I remember at one point in the Derby marathon, it might have been 2 or 3 miles ahead into the race, some runner ahead of us drops their ID and just instinctually reaches down to grab it.
Okay.
And Dave and I were right behind her. I thought for sure, like, our race was over at that point because we were going to go down. He was going to be injured. She was going to be injured. I was going to be, but luckily, like, we were able to avoid that.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I bet it would be. I'm so curious about the process of like learning, how to have that teamwork and like what kind of cues to say. Was there like, did they give you like a video to watch?
No,
like,
nothing.
Okay.
Right. We basically figured it out in the first 2 miles of the Monumental Marathon.
Okay.
I was like, okay, Dave, help me out here. What do you need? What do you not need?
Yeah.
Like, what shouldn't I do?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, and talk about the potholes situation.
Yeah, exactly.
For Monumental.
And so I would be like, hey, pothole on your left, we're going to go to the right, or whatever, runner ahead, or we're coming into an aid station that's going to get crowded here. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We basically figured it out.
Okay. And what kind of pace are you running these marathons?
I think Dave was like around the 4-hour mark.
Okay.
4-hour, 10-minute mark, I think is what he ran Derby in. And I think his goal was to finish 4 hours at Monumental, if I remember right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
You're moving.
So were those the only 2 races that you did together?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's gone on to other things. People should look him up. Dave Wilkinson.
I'm like, want to look him up.
His nickname is Speedy Turtle.
Okay.
But I think he's right now raising money to do a across the America bike ride with somebody.
Okay. Cool.
As a blind cyclist. So.
Well, it's interesting. His name is so similar to I interviewed Dave. I think his last name was Wilkerson.
That might have been him.
No, he's here. He's local, and I interviewed him. He's not blind.
Okay.
He had a heart transplant though, and he still runs.
Wow.
But their names are so similar.
I might be getting
Dave's
Dave's last name wrong too. It might be Wilkerson now that you mention it.
Interesting.
So, anyway,
I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's fun. That's wild. So. Yeah, I would love to do something like that for sure.
Yeah,
that would be really cool. Yeah,
and it really helps you put things in perspective because you're out there and you're like, this is hard, but it's really hard for Dave.
Right. He literally cannot see.
Yeah. And the community support was just it. Like, man, I was on a high the whole time because everybody would go by and it would be like cheering, supportive. It's just a really good experience.
Yeah.
Made me remember like why I fell in love with running and doing races because it really is sort of about that energy and that community support. Mm-hmm. And like everybody's out fighting their own battle, chasing their own goal. Like very few of us are here trying to win the whole thing or set a record. And, it was just a really good experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to add that to my list.
Should do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. You also, in your career, traveled a lot?
Yes.
So what are some of the coolest places that you've run?
So, let's see here. I had to go to a conference in Nice, France once.
Oh, yeah. That sounds nice.
So running on the beach in Nice was pretty amazing. Running in Paris along the Seine.
Yeah.
I can tell a funny Trena story if you'd like.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll come back to that. One time, Trena and I, we were in Monaco for an award trip for work.
I just watched a documentary on Monaco.
And we ran from our hotel in Monaco, out of Monaco, into France, into Italy, all in the course of a Saturday morning 10-mile long run. That's pretty cool. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those are some cool places.
Yeah.
All right, tell me the funny Paris story.
So if you're not familiar with Paris, like sort of like in terms of like the monuments and all of the architectural points of interest, there's the Arc de Triomphe, of course, which everybody knows, like the big arc. And then there's the Arc de Tuileries, which is over by the Louvre, which is a smaller arc, and they line up with each other. So like you can see from one to the next. And then there's a third arc, which is called the Arc de la Défense, which is a new modern arc, building that was built in the sort of commercial, like newer section of Paris, and all three of them sort of line up.
That's cool.
Together.
I didn't know
that. And they were designed that way. They were planned out that way. And so one morning when Trena and I were in Paris, we decided, I think maybe we had different mileages or something like that. And so we were going to do our own thing. And Trena doesn't speak any French. I speak a little bit of French. And so I think I gave her like 20 euros and a piece of paper that I had like handwritten the name of our Airbnb on.
Smart.
And said, keep this with you. Have fun. Like, we've been here for a few days. In general terms, how things are set out. And so she first started out at the Arc de Tuileries, the small arc, the petite arc. And then ran up to Arc de Triomphe, and then she sees the Arc de la Défense in the distance, and she's like, how freaking cool would it be to have a Strava map where I ran all 3 arcs?
So cool.
What I don't think she realized was that would be like standing in downtown Indianapolis and being like, oh, I want to run to the Carmel Library.
Or the pyramid. I can see the pyramids. Like,
exactly.
I'll run there.
I'm going to run there and back. Yeah. And so I think she had made it a few miles in Paris traffic before realizing she was never going to make it to the Arc de la Défense.
Oh, my gosh.
And so somehow turned around and figured out how to get her way back. And, she'd obviously been gone way longer than I expected. And so I'm worried to death. And she finally gets back and she's like, I'm like, well, thank goodness you're okay. I thought maybe you got lost. And she was like, well, I was trying, do you know there's a 3rd arc? And I was trying to, I'm like, you mean the Arc de la Défense, like the one that's really far out of town? She's like, yeah, that one. She's like, I was trying to run there because I thought it'd be cool to run to all 3. And I'm just like, of course.
Yeah, that's like 10 miles. That's going to be like 20 more miles to your run.
Exactly.
Oh, that's adorable. I love that Trena story. Yeah. That's a good one. Okay, well, I could talk to you all day, but we need to be mindful of time.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you my 2 end of the podcast questions now. Unless, did we miss anything that you wanted to make sure you shared?
No, I mean, I didn't think I'd have this much content to talk about. It's probably the longest I've ever talked about running with somebody without like completely annoying them. So.
Well, I'm sure you've done that in a marathon before too.
Yeah, but they kind of know what they're signing up for when
that's true.
When they do that. But.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, what is your favorite running mantra and or song?
I don't usually listen to music.
Okay.
I do usually listen to podcasts or audiobooks. My mantra is, it's a weird one. It is, well, not that weird maybe. It's weird for me. But everybody else's mantras are like inspirational, like you are amazing and you can do anything. And mine is, you've got nowhere else to be today. Because for me, when you're out running a 50 mile or 100 miles, like there becomes a point at which you're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Like I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I could be at home. I could be doing this. I could be watching this movie. I could be working on this thing. And I have to remind myself, dude, you got nowhere to be today. Doesn't matter how long this is going to take. Just keep moving and you will get it done. And don't think about like anything else. And so that's kind of my mantra when I mentally get to that place where like, I'm kind of over this and like, maybe I should drop, or like maybe I'm done after this yard or whatever. If it's a backyard, it's like, you got nowhere else to be today, man. Just hang out, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Be in the moment.
That is a good one. Yeah. That's one of the sleep meditations I listen to.
Oh, really?
Is like, says like, you have nothing else you need to do today besides go to sleep.
Maybe that's where I got it from. Cause like in Shavasana in yoga, that's one of the things. They're like, you're done.
There's nothing
more to do.
Yeah.
Just be, maybe that's where I picked it up.
I like it a lot. Works. That's a good one. Do you have like a pump up song or like a walkout song that you would have? Like
No, probably not.
Okay.
But I mean, if you had to pick one, as cliche as it is, it'd probably be like AC/DC something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
Because
that works.
Yeah.
Okay. And then next finish line or milestone. You have a milestone birthday coming up, no?
It'd be 50 in
this
August.
year or this year?
Yeah, this year in
I'm
August.
turning 40 in July.
Oh,
yeah.
birthday.
Look at us and our milestones.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to think about that one. But in terms of, because
your age group, next age group.
Exactly, next age group. But here's the thing: everybody else is also getting older too, Allie. Right? That's what's so frustrating. Is like you move, you're like, oh, I'm in a new age group, and you're like, oh, all those same fast guys I was competing with before are now older too.
Yeah, that is a good point.
But yeah, new age group, so that's something to celebrate. And I think I get some extra minutes in my Boston qualifying time if I ever decide to try that again.
Yeah. Gosh, we didn't even talk about. That's so funny. We can talk this whole time, not even talk about.
I did qualify for Boston in 2020.
That's amazing.
But it didn't go because of COVID.
Right. Great.
Yeah. So I spent 2.5 years training with Matt and PBT and ran a 3:07 at Monumental and got into Boston. Trena bought me the jacket and everything, and then they didn't have the race. And
so you've never gone?
Never gone. I've gone with Trena.
Okay. Yeah.
Trena's run it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when they opened it back up in 2021, right?
Yeah.
They took your qualifying times from the last 2 years. Maybe it was 2022. But anyway, they took 2 years worth of qualifying times for the folks that had missed the 2020 race because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was disgruntled at that point.
Okay.
Disillusioned.
Yeah, you're like, forget
I'd moved on. I'm doing trail running stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm running Leadville. Everything's good. And decided, I probably wouldn't get in anyway because there's going to be twice as many people. applying and
Yeah.
like I won't have enough padding and like why bother?
Yeah. Like, all right, Matt jacket.
And I looked at the times afterwards and I would have gotten in. I could have run it in 2021 or 2022,
Okay.
whatever but
Yeah. So you could, and you probably could if you wanted to.
I'll save that for later.
Yeah.
So yeah, new age group. I'll turn 50 in August. And then from a race perspective, I already signed up, like we talked about, for Prairie. So
Okay.
you should sign up too.
Okay.
We can share a tent if you want. Trena's a great crew person. You
Oh my
already
gosh.
Learned that. But I'm doing Grind on the Grid Ultra, or the backyard, in May this year. So
Okay.
folks should check that one out if you're local. It's a super great race. Matt Cantrell's the RD organizer. Really good dude. It's a very sort of grassroots type of backyard ultra, and it's just a good time, good people, good time. So I'm signed up for that, and then I signed up for Prairie. So I'm eyeing that for September. I think I'm not signed up for my Western States qualifier this year, so I'll have to pick one. I may pick IT 100 later in the year, because that's really my Boston. Is I want to run Western States one time, but who knows? I may have to.
Do you have any
take 10
tickets?
years.
You have some tickets in there.
Yeah, I'll have 16 tickets next year.
Okay.
If I qualify this year, I'll have 16 tickets for the lottery.
Yeah. That whole process is so crazy to me.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't decided on what my Western States qualifier is going to be this year, but I'm sort of focused on those two backyard ultras, because I kind of feel like last year I unlocked another level, like cracked a code.
Yeah.
Like once you run 32 or 33 yards, you're like, oh, wait a second. So I've gotten well past 100 at this point,
Right.
and I understand what that's like. So I'm curious how I get to 150 or more.
Jeez.
So
That's wild.
Yeah.
This all makes marathoning seem so easy. It's like,
never
just
easy to run
26
miles.
Yeah, it's not. But
Right.
anyway, well, thank you so much, Bob, for
Thanks
doing
for
this. It
having me.
was
It's
so
been-
much fun.
You were right. It was fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to show me the medals or the buckles. Sorry,
Buckles,
now,
okay.
and
Oh.
I'll have to share pictures of them.
Okay.
For after. But
Works for me.
and thank you to everybody
Right.
who has listened, and happy running. Hooray. If you enjoyed this episode of Finish Lines and Milestones from Sandy Boy Productions, please go share, rate, review, comment. Your engagement is so greatly appreciated. And a reminder of an upcoming event that is for Galentine's Day, which, if you're not aware, is the day before Valentine's Day, to get your girls together. I'm hosting an in-person run during my usual Friday run with friends, which is at 9 a.m. You can find the details in the show notes. There's also a virtual option where you can run a 10K anytime in February. And if you choose to, you can donate to freetomove.com when you register. Otherwise, it's free. I want to raise awareness for this incredible organization that is helping to ensure the safety of women, no matter where or when they run. Oh, and also, the new episode of Catching Up with Coach for the month of February just dropped. So if you're interested in hearing more about my training and how I work with my coach, go check that out. All right, see you next week.